All right, good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're from. Uh, Been a little break since I've streamed last. I think it's been about a week. So excited to get back and swing of things here. So, just a quick introduction. My name is Mike Douglas, solution consultant for Deliveron. We're part of Greenhouse Data. There's my blog information. I'm a Microsoft MVP, really focusing around Azure DevOps. A lot of topics in um, this channel will be around Azure DevOps and DevOps in general. But real quick, just to kind of get you caught up on what we do here is with our channel, we've got a repository right here, Twitch streaming. And here has a quick introduction of everything about the channel. One of the key things here is we have our project board. And the project board is basically there to show kind of what our upcoming topics are going to be. So first topic, multi-stage YAML pipelines. We did a few shows on that and wrapped that up here last week. I've been actually in the middle of doing kind of some best practices around templates. And that's where we kind of left off. Actually, I guess kind of got stuck. And didn't want you guys kind of watching me fumble too much. So did a little bit of work on the side. So we'll kind of review some of that. I think that'll be good. We can wrap that one up. And then here's our next topics. And, I really do want the community to kind of organize these or order them. So if there's something you're really interested in, let me know. Feel free to mention on the chat here or whenever you could go ahead and put comments on any of these items. So with that, you can see here upcoming is the virtual machine scale set agents. So that's something that was just announced in the latest sprint update. I thought that was pretty cool. So that's kind of moved to the top. This one I'm still working on, so I'll probably come back to that one. Might do some load testing here pretty soon. I bought a MX chip IoT dev kit probably over 2 years ago now. It's just been collecting dust, so I thought, hey, this would be a pretty cool opportunity to break that out too. Definitely like a lot of IoT stuff, hoping to get some Raspberry Pis here. And real excited that probably in the next couple of weeks I'm going to order some new stuff for this. So hopefully we'll get a green screen and better webcam and some lights. And I think I know the wall actually looks like a nice color, but the chat screen there, it's just kind of a weird greenish tint. So that'll be good to kind of get away from that. So trying to make some improvements there to keep this getting better. So definitely your comments and suggestions are always very welcome. So all right, let's jump in here. So you can see here we're still working on some YAML templates. So let's switch over to our project here. Again, this is a public project, dev.com or dev.azure.com, Mike Douglas /streaming. So feel free to go out there and grab anything you'd like. It's also on the README page there. So just kind of for a quick review, we've got a number of templates out here. I do need to clean these up a little bit to kind of make these finalized. If you remember back, we've been working on this template. So really it's kind of this NG6 user CI/CD pipeline. I basically now added the security piece to this. What we're really trying to do is just make sure that we're using a template before it can actually go to prod, or before it can be deployed to the environments. So you can see we've got a few things here, including we're extending the template, and we did that last time. After I got this working, I originally just had the first stage in here. Again, trying to get this to work without all the stages in there was a key piece. Once I did get it working, then I added the rest of the stages back in. So you could see basically there's the template, and then the parameter are just my stages. So then when we switch back to our security template now is basically, our security template has basically one parameter, and that's the stages, and the type there is stages list. And then you can see here would be the start. And so this is basically, it's kind of following, if we look back at that security template where we're actually trying to inject some tasks, this is really what I was trying to follow here. And one of the key pieces with this is that we're going to then kind of loop through this. So if we come here, the first thing that I want to do is we'll go ahead and, oops, we need to edit our template first. I did look into the VS Code extension, and I mean it did work okay, but I don't know, this is just seemed like easier just to do it here. So we want to iterate through each of our stages. So we want to do in each stage and to access our parameters above. You know, this is essentially our object here, and then stages would be essentially our property. So yeah, for each stage in parameters dot stages here, that'll kind of be each stage. And then now we want to do another each stage pair. I want to talk about pair, that's the key value pairs in our stage. So if you think about the YAML file, it's just a series of key values, and that's really all it's saying is go through each key value in the stage. Let's see, I think we put it right there. And then the last thing we want to do is basically just output our key value pair. So there's our key, and then colon, just like it would be in our syntax if we were writing it manually, and then stage pair dot value. And then so basically that'll just go through each, and this will actually walk the entire tree. So this will go down through stages, jobs, or steps, and really output there. The idea I really wanted to do was actually try to make it so that the once we got to the steps, that I could actually intercept the steps and inject my compliance ones in there. Those ones I showed last week with like the cred scan to make sure it's there. So let's go ahead and commit this. So we've now have our security. You can see this will basically iterate through everything. It doesn't really do any kind of security checks at this point, but at least it you know, making sure it runs through everything. So let's go back to our pipeline, and then we will run the pipeline. And we're going to run it from our branch that we have this in, and then we'll go ahead and kick this off. And there we go. And you can see it identified our different stages, and it'll kick off here. We can actually go into the log, watch this go through. And so while this is running, so then I tried to, well, this isn't that exciting here. So let me actually come back and look at, you can, just to see some of the fun here. Actually, these are all the good ones. Oh, there we go. And go back. So there's all the failed ones. So I did quite a bit of iterating over the weekend on this to really try to figure out what made sense. And you know what's funny is I was actually, not funny, I guess funny now maybe. I was actually, yes, this is the one I want to look at. I'll look at it this way. So one thing I was fighting was just some spaces. Like I had the exact template that we just did. but the problem was is the I copied it from my OneNote because I was using OneNote to like copy off all the ones um, that I ran into, and so I was actually running into some errors there. Um, I just on some white space, so it must have copied in spaces wrong or tabs wrong, and then so yeah, so I guess lesson learned. Always paste it in Notepad before I paste it into here, just to kind of clear out any special formatting. But yeah, so I was kind of fighting that for a while, and probably some extra errors I didn't even need to fight. But here, while I'm looking at this, is you could see what I did here is I thought this would work too. Um, is it basically iterating down the stage, going down again that stage pair, and then I'm checking to see, okay, as long as it's not the steps, just keep going through everything and do exactly what we're doing. Now, if you do run into steps, go ahead and output the steps here, and then let's basically add in our pre-existing tasks here to, actually this one I removed it. Let me go back. Again, trying to let's try this one. There we go. So it's kind of funny, it doesn't show the whole thing. But what I was doing here was basically injecting that cred scan task, and then here basically doing a step. So again, if it equals steps, I was trying to basically say this. I couldn't really find a way to like cast it to the steps, but if we go back to that security example, that's what that would show. And then at the end, run in the publish at the end. So this is what we did the previous week through that task. Let me see here. This one, copy, let me show you what I was talking about. So if we come all the way down to this one, this is what we did before. And so we got it working because we were at the jobs, and then we're able to basically do the same thing. If it didn't, as long as it wasn't the steps, then go ahead and exit here, do the steps, and then be done. The problem is with this one, there wasn't anything else after the steps. On the other one, like there's a whole nother job. There could be additional jobs, there could be additional stages. So I didn't really have a way to say, okay, stop, do the steps, okay, now go on. Like don't do, because I think what was happening is after the steps were all the steps. So it would put this in there, but then it would also put their steps back in, or the original steps. So I really didn't have a way to do that. I almost need like, I was starting to think about it almost like jQuery and jQuery selectors. If I had like a better way to kind of be like selectors here, I think that would actually help. So that's kind of where things got to there. Any questions at all? If anybody's online? All right, let's see where we're at with this. So we've run this here. We've now deployed to test, and now we're waiting for production. And you can see we're waiting for review. And again, it's waiting to approve that. Here's the other thing is that we did put in the required template. So if you remember that, I'll go ahead and approve this, and we'll let this run out. And then let's go back and review that real quick, just because it has been just a little bit of time, you can see there. So, oops. Pipelines, environments. So we have our two environments here. You can see it's actually deploying the prod one right now. We'll come in here to prod, approvals and checks. As you can see, we have two of them. One we're requiring the template, so our security template, and the other is for our approval. And the idea here is that we can actually move this security template to a whole nother repo which maybe the developers, they don't have access to, or they require somebody from, let's say, the security team or compliance team to actually review the pipeline, to basically do the pull request approval before the template can be updated. So it really helps kind of that checks and balances. And we'll talk more about that in the upcoming one with compliance. And there's still a few questions I have kind of out on that one. So let's just go back to our pipeline. We'll verify that that all completed. And there we go. All of our stages now are complete. So we're able to actually show that we have a template, or use our template to extend our pipeline, enforce the security, and give there. So now we have that working. Kind of want to take a step back and talk real briefly about what I was thinking from a pipeline perspective, from both a pipeline and template, I'm sorry. So again, our template is here, or I'm sorry, our pipeline is this one here, our CI/CD pipeline. This has all of our stages. My goal, and I'm still working on this, is to give the developers the flexibility to do what they need to do in their pipelines, but still enforce that they're going through all the required things from a compliance and security perspective. So ideally, the pipeline would be open, and then the template could enforce this. There's also another thing called decorators, which is essentially like a custom task, which I could, should be able to actually do some enforcement there too. So that'd be something maybe we can look at in a future episode also. And so right now, though, is that this doesn't feel like I have the ability to, at least I don't know how to do it, to basically then in here, like I showed, to like add our, at least to check, like if the cred scan's not there, then go ahead and just fail the release. If it is there, great. So that type of thing is what I want to do. So we're actually going to kind of flip this a little bit, because one of the things we could do is basically, if we wanted to, we could make the template actually be the pipeline, the pipeline just be essentially parameters. So let's look at what that would be. So we're going to, let's take this template that we have here. Well, actually, we'll take this one because this is essentially the same thing, but not the parameterized one. So we'll take this one, we'll copy all of our context here, and then what we're going to do is we're going to create a new template. We'll just call it base. Base sounds good. And then here we'll go ahead and paste in the contents of our pipeline, and and then so this will become our template. I think there's a few things we can't include in here. I don't think we can include resources, and then what we'll do, so there, and then we'll let's open this in another tab, and then so we'll kind of work on this together. We'll call this our ng6 users from base CI/CD pipeline, and I've just included the word pipeline in all these just to show the difference between what's the template, what's the pipeline. All right, so we'll create that. We'll also go ahead and paste all of this in there because we will need a lot of this. Trigger off for master, we'll have our pool, and then we will basically let's remove all of this. And then we're essentially going to say extend. I can never remember the syntax yet. So we'll open here to another tab. I do like tabs. We'll come here to our security. So here we'll show which one we're going to extend. So we'll go ahead and bring this in and our parameters. And then we'll look to see what makes sense to include in parameters. And we'll, instead of this, we'll basically have it from base. And then we will come back to our base template. And actually, let's look at what we have in our other template just to make sure we have our syntax correct. So here we have what we're going to define as our parameters. And then from there, we'll start at our stages. So in this case, we will come back here to our base. We'll get rid of all of these. We'll then define our parameters. I'm not sure if our parameters will be the stage list or not, but we'll keep that. We'll keep that right there and just kind of go with what we have. So at this point, we are essentially extending this. So let's go ahead and commit this and let's see what happens. So we'll commit our base. I wonder if this is going to complain because we don't have really anything at this point. Let's just do stages. It's probably expecting one stage. All right, so at least we have something out there that'll at least use. We probably shouldn't have this in there right now. Let's edit that. Well, that's probably okay because we're not in master. Okay, so from there now we have our template. So what we want to do is come over here to our pipelines. Let's create a new pipeline. Still got these triggered. Don't really want them. We're going to create our Azure repos pipeline. We'll choose our ng6 users. We're going to say existing. Okay, so we've got a number of files out here, and this one we want to do from base. And I don't think we can, I really wish we could rename it at this point. Let's go ahead and run. Let's see if we can actually, wow. That'd be great if this works right off the bat. And it looks like we're in pretty good shape there. So we're going through, requiring it. Do you think we'll make it all the way to the end? I just thought of something that we will probably fail on now. If there's anybody on, do you know where we're going to fail? We will fail. I can't remember if I put it on the dev environment, but on our prod environment, we have two checks. One of them is the approval. The other one is the security template has to be included. And we now have a base template. So don't think we're going to get all the way there. But that really wasn't the goal of this. That's okay that it fails because I probably would have just canceled it anyway. So as you can see now, we have this. So this would actually, if we actually lock down that template, that would actually be much more, I guess, restrictive of, of what you would probably think of if you're trying to lock something down from a security perspective. So in that case, we've got this. We could pass in a few more things, but I'm glad our variables here, our resources, were able to be transferred to our templates. That was good. I think what else we could have actually enforced here, but or we could have basically passed in. So maybe you could have passed in what we're building, if we wanted to make that a little bit more generic. But with this is a little bit specific to the project we're building, so it'd be kind of hard to maybe make that real generic. It looks like that's all going to work. So really, kind of, if I was to clean this up, I probably would have get rid of the stages here, or get rid of those parameters, make it something actually that it's using instead of just a something that we're not using, obviously, to make that better. So as you can see though, turning your project to a template is actually fairly easy. Let's take this one step further now, and let's create, you can see here there's no templates. So let's create a new repository, and with this one, let's create it for let's just call it pipeline templates. Don't really need a here, and then in project here we could maybe create I don't know if we want to create like a I don't know if this would actually work, but so we have really two options. We have extends. Hope you can't create a folder without a file, and in the extends, let's create our base YAML here. And then the other thing I was thinking of is maybe we could actually create a folder that has like the imports, and then like in this one, we might have a thinking about actually like what we'll do next after we'll break down our extends into some different imports ones. So our imports could be maybe like the different jobs, and what we could do is maybe say like a here our import, I guess we could maybe do Angular CI. Oops. All right, so we need to put something in here. Angular CI. All right. Let me re-add the other one. So we have the imports, so we want extends. And then here we want our base.yaml. And actually, we'll just go copy. We'll come here, we'll basically maybe. There we go. So what we'll do is we'll actually grab the contents of our base YAML from this repo, because we could probably put permissions on this folder, and do special pull requests, but that's just a lot more maintenance. I'd always prefer to just put it in a separate repository. So in this case, we will actually commit this to our pipelines one, because then I can put different permissions and pull request permissions on this. That could maybe mean like I have to review this before the other developers can use it, type thing. So I think that would be it really makes sense to kind of put some of these standard things in a different pipeline. So stuff so we can actually see here. If we come back, we made it, and you can see our check failed, and sure enough we didn't have our security template because we're using the base one now. Not a big surprise, and that's no problem. All right, so now we have our base pipeline here. Let's come back to our from base, and then let's add one more. Repository that we're going to add. Oops. In this case, we will call it and then it'll be in the pipeline templates for repository, and it is called, oops. It's still in the streaming project, and it's pipelines. So there we go. So now we have that, our reference here. So we come down our templates. I believe it is this syntax. So there's our name, and then the base YAML. And then we can kick that off. So does that look good? Any thing we're missing? All right, let's kick that off. Let's go back to our pipelines. Let's actually rename this template to match G6 users from base CI/CD pipeline. All right, let's run our pipeline and see what happens. Oh. Anybody catch what I did wrong there? Too many tabs open. All right, so nobody typed it in, but I'm sure you're all thinking it. We're actually in the extends folder. Let me share capital E. Don't know if it's case sensitive, but we'll just make sure. All right, so we're in the extends folder, so we'll see if that solves it. No repository by the name. Okay, so let's look at Azure DevOps Pipelines. Different template, different repository. Here, use other repositories. All right, what do we do wrong? All right, had it backwards, which would make sense given the error message saying I thought this was the template or this was the repository. So here, edit. There we go. Third time is a charm. All right, so let's do this one more time. All right, found it. Very cool. So we should come in here. It looks like I already found our template because it has all our stages. And I think we're in business. Yep, there's all our tasks. All right, pretty cool. All right, the last thing, and I guess doesn't have to be the last thing, but the next thing I guess would be is to actually now let's create our imports. There, since we happen to I guess it's not really an imports, it's more of just a insert, but we'll leave it with the import. There is we could just basically have like our here we basically have the steps at that. But I think at this one, let's do it at the job level. I think that'd be a little more interesting. Job radius right here. So what we'll do is we'll come and we'll have our template. So this will be our job. This is actually multiple jobs. So let's take a look. All right, whoops. So here's our Angular CI. So we're gonna actually, and I don't even know if we can reference a template from a template, but let's find out. So our stage we want to do here is basically this whole thing. So we will copy, whoops. There's our job. Let's go back over here and look at what we're going to include in our jobs. So in this case, it just starts. There's no special syntax here. We'll see. I don't want to bring in. I want to bring it at the. Let's look at this stage one, because I think with this one here, stage is 1. And in there is a actual stage, stage 2. And then here we have stages, template stage 1, template stage 2. So this is a little bit more of what I would say we want to do. That's interesting that both of these go all the way up to the actual stages. So it's almost like it's kind of there. So npm see how it looks like even again here is what we want to do, because this really is jobs and then template jobs there. So that's really, this is almost exactly what I want to do. So in my template, I do want to start the jobs job. So let's go back to here. So jobs, oops, job. I think the rest of that should be good. Let's just double check. Yep. Oops. Up here, job. Everything underneath of it, though. It seems like that's a little bit indented. So let's, there we go. That looks better. So there's our Angular CI. We'll commit that. We'll come back up here to our base and let's edit the base, and now we will, instead of calling this, let's let's reference it. So we'll come back over here. Underneath jobs, we'll call our template. We don't have our parameters yet, but that's something we can add. It's a little bit indented. Yeah, it should be under the J. Seems weird. Maybe it's because need to make sure we're getting rid of all the special characters. I give up. That'll work. All right, so here now we will want to imports. Probably won't use that word again. Angular CI. All right, so now we've got our kind of base template that uses this. And that looks good. So let's go ahead and commit that. And now kick off our pipeline again. It looks like we probably got just as far. Oops, not new pipeline. Sorry about that. Run pipeline. All right. Import. Oh, maybe it's oh, that's interesting. So it was looking for it in the same folder. So let's try a couple things. One. Again, I don't know if it's case sensitive, but we'll make it a capital I. We'll use a / here to maybe put it at the root. I got really good at edit and retrying this multiple times. All right. Okay, so it found the file, so that's cool. But it didn't like something. Mapping values are not allowed this context. That usually means we're thinks it's a it can mean multiple. So line 5. Let's go take a look. Any ideas? So when I see this error, actually I should bring this up. Debugging. Here's what I was working on. Basically found like my good one. Let's zoom in a little bit on this. This is pretty sad. So it's capturing these, so I'd find this, get this error message. It's trying to think. You can see it's starting to get pretty complex. You can see I was trying to go down and step through all this. Got in an error. Here's some more. Oh, I thought I had more of these. Well, I thought I actually had more. Interesting. What I was trying to do is translate. Where are the error messages? Maybe I was capturing somewhere else. But anyway, I was trying to figure out, well, even like this here, trying to figure out what these error messages meant and what their possible resolution was. But enough of that. I think, so the first thing I want to try here is, oops, why are my tabs so far off? Oops, that's not what I wanted. But actually, let's go. I kind of already deleted it from. Well, actually, no, this one still has it. The job CI and the staff CI is right below that, and then the ticks are right below that. Now, I don't know if it's the that's the case or not, but we will check that out. All right, so that looks a little better. And let's see. Honestly, I was expecting this a lot more today. Unexpected value, take deck. So unexpected version spec. Okay, so it does not think we are. It's mad at me. So let's go back here. Whenever I get in trouble, I just copy it all again. All right, I think this will take us back to our first time message. Or not. See, that's some fun I've been having with these, is that when we paste, sometimes the copy and paste. I'm sure if you've used OneNote, Word, and Outlook, you notice how fun copy and paste can be. That little trick I think has been helpful is if you start getting some weird errors, just start over. Just copy it back in what you thought needed to be there, and that seems to help quite a bit. All right, so we don't really need to watch this. As you can see, it pulled in all my tasks, so I was able to break out my template into kind of two pieces. One, we're going to be extending from, so this kind of, oops, sorry here, the base then can reference and kind of keep this simple. With that, that's curious if we could actually pass in this, but I don't know. That'd be kind of interesting, I think, to in my actual template. I don't know, let's try this real quick. We have 11 minutes. So here in my template, let's actually edit this. Instead of using my fake parameters here, let's actually call this let's just call it CI that we want to use. In this case, we want to use Angular CI. what are we going to do with that? And so here, let's edit our base, and our parameter now can just be CI and type string, and normally default. In that case, let's come over here and let's see if we could actually bring that in. Paste that. Guess I could have just typed that in. No idea if we can do this. This will actually be kind of cool because then, you know, based on the developer, I might not be able to like pick and choose all my steps, but this way I could say, yeah, I'm going to be doing a Angular project in this case, or maybe the next one is .NET Core or something like that. Maybe choose it. So let's come back here. Actually, let's see why that failed. Well, I don't know why that one tried to run that. Let's come here. It thinks it's happy with it. And let's see if it knows how to deal with that. Look at that. That's pretty cool. So we're able to, sorry here, just need to, so this is pretty cool. I guess this is probably a good way to kind of wrap things up for this. So we're able to actually create a variable, which is good because this is what you know, I want to give the developers at least some ability to change some stuff. So, you know, as the DevOps, I don't know, COE, they can define maybe the standard kind of templates to use. Kind of have our base one that has like the, you know, security things that we need to make sure we're doing. But then the developers can say, oh yeah, for CI, I want to do this. And then maybe in some of our parameters, we can use, what was it, parameter groups to actually show or to basically drive like which templates to use. So in this case, we specified Angular CI, which then told our base template, not this base, yes, this base, passed in that parameter for CI and told it which file to actually use. Now, obviously we would need to choose, but if we saw here one of the templates, there is a way to restrict the different options. I think in this case, I don't know if it was in this one or the other one. But anyway, it's limited to what VM images you could have. So if you find that example there where there's the list of VM images that you can use, you could actually do the same thing with this. You could give them an option, maybe pick from like, you know, 3 or 4 different things we could be doing from a CI perspective. And then down here we could, you know, obviously like some of these things, make these all parameters that you have to specify. to actually get in. Not sure if there's anybody online today, but if you were, hopefully you enjoyed that. And I don't know if you have any questions here. We've got a couple minutes left. If you're on, I can't tell how many people are on based on the view I'm on. All right. Well, I just want to thank everybody that's watching live or watching a recorded version of this. But I think actually here, let's just come over. I think we're going to go ahead and call this one good. We'll go ahead and wrap that up as complete. And then next, I think I will actually do this one next. I think this will actually be kind of fun. In here, there's a doc basically off of there. We'll go through this. We'll create the scale set for the VMs, and then we'll actually create our own agents. So we'll do that tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel, and we'll talk to everybody tomorrow. Thanks again, and we'll talk to you then.